Welcome to the War on Weakness. This is Kenny and Tanner, and this is episode number 2. What are we talking about today, Ken?
Topic for the day in our War on Weakness is strength training. Tanner, you know a thing or two about strength training. First of all, you're a behemoth of a man compared to me, and you also own a gym in town. I've known you a long time. You spent a good portion of your adult life actually training in strength. And I find you to be a smart fella that doesn't just get in and pound some iron. There's a lot of thinking behind it. There's a lot of science behind it. And so that's what we're going to tackle today.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I've dabbled in just about everything. So, I opened this gym because I couldn't stand the other gyms. We're actually in the misty bowels of Viking strength systems right now. And I opened this because my goals changed. I was tired of standing in front of a mirror flexing my arms and trying to look cool because I knew that wasn't going to work out anymore. And, so I have my background is right from working out in my basement as a kid to becoming a 270-pound bodybuilder to going in a huge athletic background as a youngster to going into which was strongman, into powerlifting, and now into and then I did some military simulation type stuff at one point too, and now I'm kind of brought it all together into one. And I feel that, if there ain't too many questions out there that I haven't asked myself to answer, so this is where the rubber meets the road, so let's go.
So Tanner, obviously you spent a lot of time, have a lot of expertise in strength training. Myself, I've been an athlete as well. I've kept in pretty good shape for most of my adult life. I do some weight training, but I'm not a specialist. I'm not the person that's going to tell you how to win your war on weakness in terms of strength training, which is why we're going to reach to you. I think it should also be said that we all have different starting points. We all have different goals. And I think that's what we're going to get into today is, sure, maybe I don't have to drop 100 pounds, but I have my own goals, my own aspirations in terms of my strength. And I'm a little bit weak. I haven't really taken strength training head on and seen what I can do in terms of reaching my goals. So I think that maybe leads to, we all have a different starting point. So Joe Blow out there and has a goal of X. Where do they start? What do they do?
Typically what I'll ask is why. That's usually the first question. Because
why do
you want that? Like, why do you even want to start?
Mm-hmm.
Because most people don't know that. And it's like saying, I want to climb Mount Everest. Why? Well, because I think it'd be cool. It's like, well, you're going to get halfway up there and you're going to quit. So why? I need to know why. So if it is, most people come to me and say, I want to get in shape. What does that mean? Right? So you need to understand why you're doing it. So for you, a guy like you, we train jiu-jitsu, train MMA together. You want to be, more explosive, more strong. Maybe some guy needs to lose 100 pounds, right? Maybe somebody else is got an injury, or maybe somebody wants to compete in something. Whatever it is, you're going to have to know why you're doing it. So, because then that way we can write a program based upon what you're going to do, or you can find a program based upon what you're going to do, because it's a systematic approach that just keeps taking time as you go. So the first question is, okay, so I'm, why do you want to work?
Well, I was going to say, if I'm going to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, if you're the guinea pig, why? Let's go through the process of how we figure this out.
You ever heard somebody say, Tanner, that if you really want to find out the reason for something, ask why 7 times in a row. Have you heard that before?
Absolutely.
And are you really, again, I really don't, we're going to do this organically and raw.
Absolutely.
I don't know really what you're saying, actually.
Okay.
Are you saying that you need to drill down into why, what's my emotional reasoning for walking through these doors and saying, I want to push some iron or I want to lift something heavy? Is that what you're getting at? What's my why? Or is it more so to find out what is the goal?
Yeah.
So if I want to be a bodybuilder and be tanned up and get some fake this and fake that, you're like, sure, whatever. I don't agree with it. But if that's your goal, then you're going to need to do this.
Yes.
Or if your goal is I want to be a healthy grandfather at the age of 85 and still bouncing great grandkids on my knee. Cool. That's a different goal. That's your why. Are you saying you just have to find out the why, or are you saying that we should get to a healthy why?
Well, you got to get to whatever your why is. So okay. It's like if you want to go to Edmonton and you start driving towards Saskatoon because you think it's cool, then why are you going? Right. So, for example, I'll give you an example. So, a lot of people, so I grew up I came up through a lot of my physical fitness, like the gym journey, let's call it, through bodybuilding and bodybuilding gyms. Okay. So I got to meet and interact with a lot of high level. I was in the city at the time, went into like this crazy gym full of just these monsters because I wanted to get bigger, and kind of got drawn into that industry. But what I noticed with it, and this is why I got asked, that's why I say ask why, is a lot of these were insecure men that wanted to put on as much muscle as possible to look like they were imposing and could beat you up. If they would have asked themselves why enough, because I became one of these people, if you asked yourself why long enough, you would say, I want to go and be 270 pounds of solid muscle so that people will leave me alone and not expose me for how actually weak I am. But you never tell yourself that. Mm-hmm. The answer to that question is, if I'm scared to get beat up, I should go learn to fight, because being 270 pounds of muscle actually makes me way worse at protecting myself than me at 225 lean, explosive, and training MMA. So that's what I mean by that, is to ask yourself what the actual motivation is to what you're doing, because you might be going down a path where physical fitness actually starts to weaken you because you're doing the wrong thing, right?
I'm with
Especially
you.
In today's world. Everybody sits there and does arm curls until they're blue in the face. And it's like, well, why are you doing that? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make you stronger. That makes your arms look bigger. But why do you want your arms bigger? Is it because you're insecure? If it is, okay, cool. But maybe there's some other issues we need to deal with too, is what I'm saying with it.
I'm with you. Yeah. So it's both probably to clarify, using me as the guinea pig, my why.
Yeah.
But also so that if I'm going to come in and be a student of yours or be coached by you or somebody here or at any facility in town that does this, is that you need to know how to help me get to Edmonton and not to get to Saskatoon as well. I'm with you. Yeah. Okay, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's just it, is if it is that thing. See, that's why I think that, like, when we talked about, you know, the episodes laid out in this podcast, this become the first one, because to me, physical, like, the way you look at yourself physically, the way you operate physically, is a great place to start to understand yourself, right? How you do things. That discomfort that you feel while training is immediate and it's fixable right now. So say you're $10,000 in debt, right? You're looking at quite a ways away before you're going to tackle that really full on. If you come into the gym and that workout's hard and you quit, well, you just lost right there, right? But if you get through that workout that's hard and get through, you just won something that day. And it happened right now, right within an hour. You got a good benefit right within an hour and you got stronger.
Okay.
So I think that this is a huge starting point for people, and you feel good when you're strong and when you're, you know, on pace to whatever goal you're going for.
I think you mentioned that when we were talking about what topics are we going to tackle. And yes, they're wide ranging, but I remember you making a statement of get your physical health in order, get your diet in order.
Yeah.
And those are two of the primary pillars, as I recall you saying, that we can spring out to some of these other things, right? Am I putting words?
Yeah. I mean, to me, and I think if you look around at a lot of the influential people that people look up to, as far as like, and not saying I'm one of them, but if you look at those kind of people, they're usually not fat slobs. They're squared away with their physical, like they all train, they all, you know what I mean? They know the importance of how healthy the mind is when the body's healthy and when you're eating good, right? Like, I went and watched Jordan Peterson in Edmonton, and he said that he created all these brain games and stuff like that, trying to increase intelligence. I think it was actually IQ increase. You'd have to Google it and find out for sure. But what he said was there was nothing that they could do as far as building a test or building something like that will actually raise your IQ. But hard, strenuous physical activity was the one thing that actually brought the function of your brain up, right? And that makes sense, right?
Totally.
Like the body is like, all of a sudden the mind needs to be like, okay, like we're actually doing something. Like, you know, your body's probably telling itself, we're either going to war, we're going to hunt, we're going to do something. Let's sharpen up.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're bogged down with, you know, being 50% body fat, like chances are you're eating awful if you can get that fat, and your body isn't transferring oxygen correctly. There's a million different reasons why you shouldn't be all fat and out of shape if you want to be smart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it correlates directly as far as that whole thing now.
For me, and maybe we'll get into that in my why, but I think a lot of people don't look at physical strength training or physical activity as an investment. But let's be honest, what is a financial investment? You're taking $1 that you could have went and blown on something today and got some utility out of it or some enjoyment, whether it's a fast car or it's a trip or it's a set of earrings for your wife, whatever. But instead of buying that today, you're going to delay your gratification and put it in the bank so that at some point in the future, you can enjoy it. It's going to produce more than the $1 you put in. It's going to be an investment. And I look at physical health in the exact that way. Do I love getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going to jiu-jitsu when it's 40 below? No. There's lots of times I'm like, maybe I should just phone in sick today. But no, I got to invest. I got to delay my gratification. I got to short my sleep, get up, come to the gym. Because at some point in time, I'm going to enjoy my investments, whether it's being healthy for my wife, being able to continue in business, being able to bounce grandkids on my knee, whatever the case, delay illness or death. Be smarter, be quicker, be more agile, all the above. So it's an investment. So now do you want to go through my why, Tanner? Or
Yeah, I do.
Okay, let's go.
So why do you want to do it? Like, what's your...
Why do I want to come and strength train with you?
Why do you... Yeah, you say you want to get into strength training. Why? Like, what's the end game? And there's never an end game, but what's the goal? Like, where would you be happy if you're like, hey, I got to this point?
I'll start with my primary,
mm-hmm.
which is my responsibilities that I view as a father and a husband and a community member, is that if I'm healthy, I do my job better.
Yep.
I'm a better husband. So in short, that's my biggest why.
Mm-hmm.
But now, why strength train at Viking Systems or anywhere in town? I think it's going to push me out of my comfort zone. I'm learning to enjoy being out of my comfort zone more. Maybe it links into the larger goal, but you and I wrestle on the mat in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and doing some MMA. I want to see what my body does if I push it physically in terms of strength. I've always been a naturally wiry person, you know, that they would say, yo, you're kind of strong for your size, but I've never really done strength training. Mm-hmm. And so when people wrestle me on the gym out there, you know, for an old guy with gray hair, you kind of got a little bit of strength to you. Okay, well, let's see if I actually do some strength training. I think you mentioned that is, let's design it. Let's see what you can do. And I'm kind of excited to say, let's wage some more on my weakness.
Yep.
If I've never strength trained before, what am I missing? What's the, how high of a volume can that get cranked to? Is my strength really a 6 right now? And give me 4 months with you, and am I shooting 9 out of 10? I want to see how that feels. But all of it for me always loops back to, but why do I do jiu-jitsu? Mm-hmm. Why do I strength train? Why do I exercise at all? And it's to get the maximum return on life. And when I say a return to me in how I feel, how I father, how I am a husband, my kids come and say, hey, Dad, you want to jump on the tramp? I like saying, absolutely. I'm ready to go. Yep. Not my back sore, I'm out of shape, and I just feel like having another nap. So in short, it push me more if I'm not getting to a deep why.
No, I think those are real. Those are good enough to motivate you when things suck. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say, what's your why? I've been at this game a long time, and it will suck. It's going to be the worst. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know why you're doing something, the instant it gets hard, you will quit every time. Every time. So if a person can't understand why they're doing it, then it's just going to fade off. All of a sudden, the excuses become higher than the motivation. And you just you'll fade off and you'll be that guy that used to go to the gym, right? So that's good. I mean, we can look off two things there. Is the family thing is huge. And I think for you to like kind of projecting that that discipline to your kids is big for you. I know we've talked about, right? So you want to lead. Yeah, like
right?
lead the way, right? There's also the fact of the MMA, and we when we talk about that now, that's very, very much quantifiable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll probably be able to quantify that the most in trying to fight you, because we're training partners. So I'll know that right away, right? So that's cool. Now we have something to work with.
So
right?
are you also linking everybody's why? Is it another way of saying what's your goal?
Yeah.
So if your goal is to drop 50 pounds and get off your blood thinner medication or whatever the case may be,
that's why I asked though is, see, a goal is, I want to drop 50 pounds. That's a goal. Cool. Why?
Okay, I'm with you.
You know what I mean? Like, why do you really want to do what you're doing?
Okay.
And you might not like the answer. Like, that's the thing is, you might be like, I'm an insecure piece of shit and need bigger arms. I don't know. But as long as you're honest with yourself, then we can start working with it, right? You know, so that's just it. If you say, you know, I want to, and confidence is huge too. People always undermine the confidence that comes with doing this, because you build your like, people always think, just be more confident. It's like, okay, you know,
where do I get that pill at?
Go be a black belt. Well, you can't, because you haven't put in the time. And confidence is built through doing something that you don't think you can do, or that you're very uncomfortable at, and succeeding. That's how you build confidence. You don't build confidence sitting at home meditating on your couch pretending you're Elon Musk or something. Like, that's not how this works. That's what's sold to you, but that's not how this works. Confidence is built in the dark, dirty alleys that you don't want to be in. That's where confidence is built. So yes, I think that once we can understand the goal of it, I mean, and the why of it, now we can start setting goals that are proper.
And we're not even getting into, which these can be other episodes, but correct me if I'm wrong, this will also link into stronger mental health.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think this is how you get stronger mental health.
Which would be another one of my whys. I just find my brain functions better. My tough days aren't as tough. And if I'm having a week or day or something's really stressing, I just get out and I sweat and I just come out and I feel better.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're getting into serotonin and cortisol and all this kind of stuff, but that can be an episode for another day. But in short,
we can touch on that though, because mental health is linked directly to physical health. I can tell you this. I know this. I went through a phase of clinically 100% diagnosed, you are depressed and you need all these drugs. You have anxiety disorders, depression, blah, blah, blah. All the things that they say to everybody when they don't want to deal with the problem. They just want to give you medication. You get through it through physical discomfort. Your brain is, and your emotional abilities to handle things is a callus. You're not going to get mentally stronger by avoiding arduous things. So this is 100% the first thing you should, if you feel that you have mental health issues, go get uncomfortable. Go do it. Physically uncomfortable. How do you become mentally uncomfortable? If I'm some terrorist and they're going to torture me, they're not going to sit and play Celine Dion records until I spill the beans. That's not how this works. They're going to take and they're going to put me through physical discomfort, because physical discomfort is actual discomfort. Mental discomfort is just you ruminating through your head stupid thoughts, right? But if you can go and get uncomfortable physically and overcome that, you're mentally stronger. Because physical pain is actual pain. Mental pain is a perception of some story you're telling yourself.
And when we look at the body as a system, I think I hear you saying, and you're going to be more a specialist than I am. There's actually things going on inside of you that give you the feeling. What is a feeling, right? We're a system, right? What is a feeling?
Yep.
But there's something either being shorted or something being created that makes me say, I like my life a little bit better. I know for me, I think we both had, I've have some mental illness in my family. It's rocked us to our core. And something I'm always wary of is for me personally. And so in my toughest of days, knowing that there's some of this that runs through our family, I'm very careful that I don't stay on a dark path for too long. And so no matter how tough my life has gotten, it's my physical exertion has been maybe something I'm like, no matter how tired you are, no matter how tough of a day this is, get your butt in that gym, go sweat. And no matter what, it came out. And I remember thinking like, I don't know what it is. I know if I went through the research papers, and there's been studies and studies and studies, I'll be able to break down to cortisol, some kind of a drug or hormone that goes off my brain. Yep. And I walk out of that gym and I go, I can do this. I can keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So can you give me a little bit of that, Tanner?
Absolutely.
What's going on in my brain? Why does it feel that way?
See, there's a lot to do with dopamine, stuff like that too. Like, a lot of addictions come from just addiction to dopamine and trying to change your state mentally, right? So what physical activity does is it doesn't give you the big dump, right? That say drugs or even, different medias, like even social media. You just disconnect, you see some pictures, dopamine spikes, you feel better. So that's why then all of a sudden, as soon as you start feeling bad, you go right to that. Well, that doesn't work. Like, that's never going to get you anywhere. What physical fitness does, or physical exertion does, is it gives you that same thing. Everybody else feels so good after they're done their workout, right? It's because you overcame something. So, everybody nowadays probably has some clinical mental illness of some varying degree, I would think. Now, is that because it's more prevalent? Or is it because people don't do anything anymore? You sit at home on your phone eating Doritos. I have a mental disability. Or not a disability, a mental illness. It's like, or are you just fat and lazy? Right? Like, because there's a good chance that's what it is. So stop being a victim and go take care of this. Like, that's my call to everybody, is like, stop whining and just go take care of it. Physical activity sucks when it's in high intensity doses. But everything that sucks turns into everything that's awesome. So if we can go and just say, okay, yeah, you're depressed, you feel bad. There's all kinds of chemical stuff that happens that I could sit and spout off here. But at the end of the day, are you worse for going and training hard? Or are you better? Right. Are you better for sitting and crushing Doritos talking about your emotions? Probably not. But
I think that's fair. Like, again, coming from a family that has some history, that's painful to say the least. Is I don't think you're saying, to only put words in your mouth, like as we say, we're kind of yin and yang in some of this stuff. Is that some people do have illness? They do need something to help balance. They do need something to help get them through the day. But even if you do, unless you've got a doctor's note that says, listen, do not exercise for now because there's the chance you die on the treadmill this afternoon. More times than not, or the majority, physical exercise will do you improve your life.
100%.
And it may even make it so you don't have to take that pill. And why not walk that path before you take the pill? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. And I mean, thank you for clarifying that. I can be a little raw, but.
Which is good.
I mean, and I get so frustrated because here's the thing is there mental illness that is systematic through your family? Of course. I mean, of course there is. There's certain things, it's like if you're born with no legs and I tell you to go run, like that, you know what I mean? Yeah. But what I'm saying is for 99% of the people out there listening or watching this or whatever, you probably don't have it that bad. You're just avoiding trying to fix it the hard way. You know what I mean? So exactly. So say you do have, like, think about it. You're sitting here saying, my family does have a history of mental illness. But you're not sitting at home being a victim about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I need to work out so that this doesn't get me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good approach, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not saying that everybody's just being a pussy.
Yeah.
I'm saying just about everybody is.
Yeah. No, I think it's fair. I think it's fair. And I knew what you were saying.
Yeah.
I just,
and I think
if I'm sitting there listening to
because
this,
there's a lot of people
Yeah.
that are going to get triggered by pretty much everything I say. So
which is fine. I think it's just, yeah, everybody's got a little bit different story,
Yeah.
but very few people don't have an excuse to say, but I'm not going to exercise.
absolutely.
I'm not going to exert myself physically.
Mhm.
Okay, so now somebody finds their why, and they want to do something about it.
Mhm.
So they got to start with the why.
Mhm.
Where do they go? What do they do?
But then you start to develop a plan, right? So okay, so for you,
Mhm.
I want to get better on the mats. I want to be more physically fit for the family, to lead for example, all these things. So you have very, very strong performance-based goals.
Mhm.
Okay. So now if you're asking yourself how or where, so say you were like, maybe you're hurt and need a bunch of machines or something, or maybe you just want to be a bodybuilder, let's say. Well, you're going to probably gravitate towards what I call the house of mirrors, which will be some big corporate gym where you can go and be part of I want to, sculpt my guns kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is performance based. So therefore, for a person like you and anybody that wants to be stronger, faster, all these things, it's going to be tough to pull that off in a place like that. Now, that's the facility that I've built here is based around performance. And I'm not just saying I'm the only one in town. There's a couple other ones. So this isn't necessarily, you got to come here. But what you got to ask yourself now is, does my goal fit the environment? Right? So find yourself a facility that is based around what you're trying to do. Right? So with you coming into a place like Viking, yeah, you're going to get stronger. You're going to get, right? I have all the equipment, everything that we need to do that. Right? So that's the next thing you got to ask yourself is, does the goal match the environment?
Okay.
Right?
And you're not saying, I know the answer to this, but you're not saying the only place in town to ever get physically fit is Viking systems.
Yeah.
Viking
Do I?
systems. There are others,
Yeah, absolutely.
and others might match better. So you're saying, figure out your goals.
Like muscles and more.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. I'm friends with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So I would never be like, don't go there. Like if you're not going to come here and you want something a little more, like, I guess, CrossFit type based, or that, like, kind of the way they do that, then you're probably going to get more out of going there.
So maybe we can have something like that on.
Oh no, we will.
Right?
Like absolutely. Like I'm not going to sit here and say this is the only place you should ever go.
Yeah.
I really think that this is a better option than like trying to go into some safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that we're safe, but a lot of people go into that place that's like, just give me your money.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually don't want you to show up here.
Yeah.
Because it's actually more beneficial for us if you just pay us and then not come and wear down the facility through using water and using all these things. And that's the way all those like big corporate gyms are built. I actually sat down with a guy one time because I worked at one of those way back in the day. And I said, so how many members do you got? And he's like, oh, no. Like he had like 4,000 or 5,000 members or something like that in this tiny place. I was like, what if they all showed up? And he's like, I'd have to shut the business down. He goes, we're based upon, what did he say? It was a long time ago, but it's based upon like 10 or 20%
probably Prado's post
of people that actually show
20.
up.
Sure.
Right. So they're selling you a membership, hoping you don't show up. Like, why would you ever want to be part of that? It's like here or at other like training facilities, they're like, where the hell have you been?
So your model, if I'm hearing you correctly,
Mm-hmm.
is that you want me to come in, pay my membership, and succeed. So when I go out and tell my friends and my family, listen, I found success there. I came with my goals and I met them all.
Mm-hmm.
I delivered. As opposed to I found a marketing campaign where on New Year's Day, if I run down for $10 a month, I can grab my membership, and they are banking on me not succeeding.
Yep.
so that their model works where only 10 or 20% of them. Okay, sounds good. So we're not here to bash those businesses,
No.
but it's just a different. I'm my training's in business. It's just a different model, different. But if you want to succeed, go to somebody who wants to see you succeed.
Absolutely.
Like that's maybe okay, and it's also a little bit of we won't get too far into business strategy, but you're more of a Cadillac than a Kia Sorento or right?
Yeah.
Like
or like something like an army tank.
An army. Okay, yeah. You're a Hummer. You're
Yeah,
a Hummer.
There you go.
You're a G unit.
Yeah.
Mercedes G unit. Okay. No, but you're not
Yeah.
selling a gimmick.
Yeah, I'm not giving you. I'm not just trying to take your money for nothing.
Yeah.
I need you to see value in those
I
dollars.
like it.
That's kind of
I like
the way it is, and yeah, it's one of those things where just don't. I don't want people going into places with a false pretense that they care about you if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we just in this place, and it's, like I said, Muscles and More is like this, like Joe's. They want to see you better. Now, I want to see people get better because we need stronger people.
Mm-hmm.
We're a weak society. We need stronger people. So everybody that comes in here, it's like, okay, good. There's somebody that's getting stronger, right? So it's
Tanner, it's easy for me to do this. Like I've maintained my strength over the years, what I think is strength. I don't carry an extra 100 pounds right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, it would still be a little bit intimidating for me
mm-hmm.
if I didn't walk in these environments. To walk into Viking Gym, see you at 240, covered in tattoos, a loud voice to say, like, if I'm 58 years old and I'm
Mm-hmm.
overweight and maybe I had a knee injury from a sports injury when I was 25 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
like, should I be intimidated to walk through your doors?
I mean,
If I want to do something, if I want to take action.
It's easy for me to say, no,
Mhm.
you shouldn't be intimidated, which
Mhm.
is pretty intimidating in its own.
Yeah.
It's a good question, because how do you take somebody that has spent probably too much time not building confidence and probably being a victim, and all of a sudden say, well, don't be that, right? Don't be that. Just come into the gym. Well, like you said, I don't really come across as the most like, hey, buddy,
Mhm.
right? You got to really want it. And it's got to come to the point where, you can't. Eventually in life, you're going to have to stop being scared. You're just going to have to stop being scared. So I know that this isn't the answer everybody wants to hear, where it's like, don't be intimidated. You're going to be intimidated.
I'm not so much saying, would you give everybody a big hug when they walk in and make them
if you're safe, if it's trying to make me plug Viking, then when you walk in here, man, we're the coolest bunch of people you'll ever meet. You might not think it when you're on the outside looking in, because you're like, oh, look at those guys. But these people are real.
Mhm.
Like there's not, you start trying to take selfies and stuff, and you're like, there's a rule board. It's like, if you start taking mirror selfies in here, man, it ain't going to go well for you, right? It's real people, but the problem is through Instagram, Facebook, all these things, you're sold fake people. So you think that your goals are attached to all this fakeness. So you go to a corporate gym full of fake people, full of fake everything, trying to make a fake you, thinking that that's what's comfortable. But getting in the trenches with the people actually working out and doing what, working towards a goal, it looks intimidating because they're not all blowing sunshine up your ass and stuff. But most of them are just like in here, if you don't know what you're doing, there isn't a member in this place, because I would have got rid of them if they didn't, that won't sit and be like, hey, man, here's everything I know.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are more forthright with handing out that, and other people are more reserved because they're doing their thing. And that's cool. But not one person in here is ever going to be like, shut up, man. Like, I'm the king of the cable crossovers. Stay out of here. Because that actually happens at these other places, which is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it's inviting here once you get here. But it's just making that step, right? You got to take the step.
So you can lead the horse to water, but you can't force it to water.
Right?
So, but what I hear you saying, and I know this to be true, but I want to ask you for people that are going to listen to this. I'm 58 years old. I haven't done a bench press since I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a knee surgery,
Yeah.
and I'm overweight, and I'm not real happy about it. But I'm no longer going to live in my past. I'm going to live looking forward. Today's the day I'm going to walk into that big behemoth of a man who's scaring the shit out of me and say, my why is this.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk through those doors and I want to get better. We all have different starting points.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, it's not a
Yep.
measuring stick,
Nope.
right? We all have our own measuring stick, and I'm coming to believe that it's inside us. That's what's your journey. So I've got my own journey. The 50-year-old that is overweight, that has the knee injury, has his own journey. Everybody does. But if they really want it, they're welcome.
Oh, absolutely.
Just don't come with an attitude and come ready for some change.
Yeah.
And the community of Viking Gym will wrap their arms around them and say, let's go, man. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Fair to say?
Well, that's what everybody here is trying to get better, and they know how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing too, is we've learned this through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA stuff, is the people those are probably some of the most humble people I've ever met, are the people that get their asses kicked. And they would beat the wheels off of 99.9% of the people walking around on the streets. But the problem is they know what it's like to get whooped. So they don't project it. They're like, hey man, like I could, rip your arm off and beat you with it, but I won't because it's happened to me before. So you get a sense of what that other person is actually going through. So in here, it's like, yeah, everybody in here knows how much this can suck at times. So if you walk in, they're not going to be like being all chirpy and try to be lit. They know how hard it is. Everybody in this facility knows how scary it is to walk through that door if they're not that type of person, right? They all know. So when you walk in, they know what it's like to walk through a performance facility for the first time and be like, holy shit, like, I'm not in Kansas anymore, right? So what happens is those people are more accepting. Where you walk into these other places that are more based upon Instagram pictures, and they're judging you based upon them judging themselves. So they look at you and they're like, haha, my arms are bigger than that guy's. It's like, man, you need to go get some help.
Okay.
So that's kind of the idea here, is it's a bunch of people getting better, and it's got nothing to do with your own insecurities and stuff. It's like, man, let's all squat 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the idea.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why it shouldn't be intimidating. But
Okay, so you know my goals. Let's just take a walk. We're gonna use me as the guinea pig.
Yeah.
I like to have things that are quantifiable.
Mhm.
Maybe we come at this from a different angle. I like feelings. I think feelings are important. They're real. They're part of us. But if I want to get better, I don't want to say my feelings are telling me better. I want to quantify this for myself personally. I want to get stronger. I want to be able to measure my strength. And I also want to have it that, it ties into my longer term goal of being healthier for my entire life. But also, I want to get tougher on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mat because I don't like losing. I don't like losing. So you got to show me a cardio tat, or you got to, hey.
I can't give up my secrets.
But
not
trust
against
you?
training partners.
Nobody
I'm just going to make you fat and slow.
I don't know what it is. I keep getting worse.
Yeah.
No, but so I'm going to sign up. So what
Yep.
can I expect? How can I measure this?
Yep.
What are, I honestly, I've never strength trained. I've weight trained, but I've never strength
Yeah.
trained.
Well, the strength training is actually measurable,
Mhm.
right? So if you're measuring your feelings, just measure how many of them are in the garbage can,
Okay.
because that's where they should be.
Okay.
Just kidding. But
So I start next Monday.
so
What do I
what
do?
would happen is we're going to say, okay, now, depending on your level to where you're already at, we got to, we're building this thing from the ground up.
Mhm.
That's my philosophy on it is, if you haven't been squatting, deadlifting, pressing, and I guess bench pressing, if that's what you want to go with too, is those are quantifiable. So those are going to measure your
Mhm.
your strength as far as your force off the ground in a static position, not a static, but a non-mobile position, right? We got to build that up, right? So every strength program is going to be based around those.
Yep.
If they're not, if you have a strength program based upon leg press and leg extensions, run. That's not good.
Mhm.
Squatting, deadlifting, pressing, and bench press. Those are
Okay.
working all. So that's where we start. Now, I've managed to, through my experience and through some wicked good mentors, managed to not only take those things, but start to marry them into programs. So you're getting stronger and a little bit more explosive with these. Like I have my tactics to do that. I do things at a fairly high pace with that, like especially if it's an MMA goal, is or any athletic goal, I want to keep the pace high because you're in a high pace environment, right? So, I mean, if a guy wants to build a ridiculous amount of muscle, which I can do that in here. People always think, well, like, trust me, if there's anything that I'm actually have a background the most in, it's hypertrophy, which is muscle building. That's where I spent most of my time. I can do that through what I have here. No problem. I'm just going to do it at a higher pace so that you don't get fat too. So you stay lean. But in your case, we need to have pace because your life is fast. Jiu-jitsu's fast. These things require pace. So yeah, we'll squat, but we're going to squat safely, as heavy as we can, whilst maintaining that pace. And then once your squat, say, I'm just using that example, it's a little bit fatigued, we're going to throw some explosive movement in there because I want to be able to, I don't care how good you are fresh. I want to train how good you are tired. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because, when you ever need this stuff, it's going to be when you don't expect it. It's like when we train jiu-jitsu, it's like all of a sudden you're 4 minutes into 5 minutes of just, you're getting held down, just dominated for 4 minutes. You're fatigued, you're tired, and you need to blow, you have that one chance where, I'm going to try to, do a reversal or a sweep or something like that. You got that one chance and you're tired and it sucks. You need to be explosive at that time. Not if you could get out in 5 seconds in, you would have. That's the same thing in life, right? It's going to be the last 30 seconds before you die that's going to be the problem, not the, right? So we need to train you to make you better when things suck, not better when things are perfect, because there's too many fair weather. So now you can start to see why I'm more against the just sit and do arm curls. Because why?
Okay, so if we're gonna use me as a guinea pig, we'll share this.
Yep.
How weak was I? What's my starting point? What's my starting point?
Sorry, to answer that. Quantify it. So we can take those numbers. So you'll start off at a certain amount, and then we're just going to keep adding weight slowly, right? It's like 500-pound squats happen 2 to 5 pounds at a time.
Yep.
Right? That's just the way it works. So it just takes time and it takes repetition. It takes callousing those muscles. That's not what actually happens, but you know what I mean? It takes just beating those things up until they just strengthen. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen a little bit at a time over time. Okay. So so to quantify it, like what you asked, is to do a number quantification. We can say, okay, Kenny, you're squatting 250 pounds on day one for a set of 5, let's say, or something like that. And now, after 6 months, you're at 350 pounds for a set of 5.
Yep. So
you go.
We'll share that. We're going to share blunt, honest, what's my starting?
Yeah.
And where I'm at in 30 days. Yep. Are you cool if we do a 30-day?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're going to do.
I know this is a lifelong journey, but let's shorten it up to say, I walk through your gym. I'm going to do a 30-day journey with you. See what I can do.
Because that's where everybody starts. Well, everybody starts with the first 30 days.
Okay. I guess it starts with just walking through that door like someone just did.
Yeah, it starts with day one.
Go say, I want a membership. I want to start.
Accept it as a process, right? Okay. And that'll get you moving in the right direction anyway.
Okay. No, I'm sure it's going to have to match the goal, but how many times a week am I going to have to go? Because everybody's short of time.
3 to 4.
3 to 4.
Yeah. If you train more than 3 or 4 times a week, you're not going hard enough.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, now you can build a lot of muscle with more frequency, but there's 2 systems that you're going to tax, and that's one more the muscular system, and the second is kind of more the nervous system, right? So you can sit there and just do a set of curls, say 3 sets of 10, and leave the gym. You didn't tax your nervous system, you taxed your muscular system. So the muscle took some abuse, and now it's going to grow. Now you do a set of, 5 sets of 5 squats heavy. You're taxing your nervous system. You're taxing your brain's ability to communicate with these muscles. You're going to need more time off, because that system takes more time to recover than just pumping the muscle up a little bit, right? So for what you're doing, 3 to 4 times a week.
Okay. I'm sure everybody's got an excuse. They're all short of time, me included.
Yeah.
I've got 6 kids. I have a business. I teach. I'm already in the gym 2 times a week for 2 hours at a time doing kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, and MMA. time isn't exactly a luxury, and I have to prioritize. And it's not all about me and my strength. It's got to fit into, again, my higher purpose, which is to be a good husband, be a good dad. And that takes time too. So, I think we have to get go. I'm going to aim for 3 days, Tanner.
Yeah. You mentioned 2 at one point.
Oh,
I'm not
you
saying
said
that
it's got to be 3 or 4. So it's kind of like we can't.
But there's a lot of people out there that'll say, I can only do 2, so I'm not going to do it. It's like, you could do it, but 3's better.
Okay, well, let's go like this. Once we're done, we're going to share the program that I'm on. It'll be 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Now, I think. Oh, okay. So now I'm a customer walking out off the street. Let's get down. We're tougher economy right now, right? What's this going to cost me? I come in, I do a 30-day plan with you.
Mm-hmm.
What are your hours? How do I look? Like, where do I sign? What's it going to cost me? What are we looking at?
The membership's $60 a month.
So $6 a month gives me a key to your door.
That gives you the key.
When can I walk through that door?
24 hours a day.
Okay.
It's fob access. Come through, beep in.
You're on the ring road in Lloydminster here.
Yeah,
okay.
You betcha. Now, if you want to work with me personally, I can program for you, but then you're still on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do personal training for me, and that will depend on how. That's a completely different. That we have to sit down and go over.
It's for how long is a piece of string? Is it that
exactly,
kind of a question?
Exactly. It's like there's so many different permutations to which I can. Like, it depends on how long you want to come.
Yeah.
We're not even going to get there. It's more than $60 a month. Let's say
Could we start with this just so a listener could grab onto something?
Yeah.
I come in and you show me how to work each of the machines or the units or the contraptions that you're suggesting we should be working with, and not the leg squats or not the leg presses. Whatever it is you think. I want to learn how to do each of them properly. So I'd like you to hang out with me. I'm not saying this will be my program, but let's say I'm speaking for Joe Blow. I'd love to give you $900 a month and help me buy my lunch too. But I don't have $900. I need to come in here and get healthy because it's an investment, and I want you to show me how to use each of these machines properly, and then I'll go on my own, and if I need to, I'll come back to you. But for the next 30 days, I'm just going to start with that. What's that going to run me roughly?
Well, I'm just in the middle right now of making videos through Viking so that I can be there when I'm not there. Does that make sense?
Yep,
so when you say machines, we don't go it'll be movements.
Lesson 1 is don't use the word machines.
Yeah, machines is bad unless you're the machine.
Okay.
But so you'll go through like how to squat, because nobody squats properly.
Yep.
Like nobody. It's very rare that you see a proper squat nowadays. So we got to teach you how to do that, because that's what you got to be able to. So I can show you if I'm around. You can hire me for an hour to get me to show you all the movements.
How many primary exercises are going to be?
There's 4 that you need to know.
Okay, so,
right? So there's squat, deadlift, press, and bench press. Those are the 4 things that if you screw those up, you're gonna get hurt.
Okay, so let's say an hour each, and an hour of consulting on diet, or I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know.
As far as diet goes, that's a whole other animal. I mean, we have to sit down and really. That'll be a whole other. Am I asking
another? How long is a piece of string?
Yeah, but the diet is 100% the appearance. So however you eat, that's how you look. Training means nothing when it comes to that.
Okay. So
what I'm saying by that is, like, if you sit there and train and I've seen it happen a lot, you can just train your ass off. Just go hard. If you eat like shit, you're going to be fat.
Let's go like
that's
this.
The way
I come in 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And for each of those is an hour. And I commit to 30 days.
Yeah.
And I have you train or somebody else that does training here.
Yeah.
That'll be the peak dollar. Not the peak dollar, but that's fairly hands-on with you coaching. Roughly, what am I?
Roughly, well,
I'm not.
You're going to be looking at probably to actually get me to sit down with you for 1 hour, 3 times a week, and you're going to get a program, me showing you how to do everything, and a diet.
Yeah.
And when I say a diet, I'm not a dietitian. I'm just going to tell you how to eat, which is going to be so ridiculously simple that it's going to be like, what? It's like, yeah, this doesn't have to be hard. You're going to be about anywhere from $500-$600 a month.
Okay. So to me, but again, I have a different mindset on health, that people blow $2,500 on 65-inch TVs.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah.
For $500 or $600, I come and hang out with you for a month. That's a no-brainer.
Yep. But it's a no-brainer for anybody that wants to be good at stuff.
And we're not just pumping Tanner's tires here. To me, whether it's Joe at
Yeah,
Muscles
yeah.
and More is what you said, wherever, and there's gonna be others in town. But if I try this, if I'm Joe Blow and I come in, I give you $500 or $600 and I do it for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, if it sucks, fine, quit, walk away, or and call it a learning experience.
Yeah. Well, I
or
mean, you're gonna
might
know,
change your life. It might be the start of a new tomorrow.
Well, it's gonna be, even if anything, I don't want to train you for 5 years straight one-on-one, because that means you're not learning anything. You know what I mean? If I don't work myself out of a job, I'm doing a brutal job.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, give me a month, at least let me teach you how to not kill yourself in here.
Yep.
I'll give you the program. You know what to do. Show up and go.
Okay.
Like, that's as easy. I mean, this isn't you shouldn't have a trainer for more than 3 or 4 months. You shouldn't. Otherwise, you're mentally weak. You know what I mean? Well, you are.
Yeah.
Because what it means is that you can't show up without being scared of me.
You're the crutch.
Yeah. It's like,
I
show
Tanner
up because I'm scared to let you down. It's like, well, let me know how that goes in. You know, that's your problem.
But I can see it. You know, like I had a shoulder injury from jiu-jitsu, and to get rolling again took a little bit to kind of say, I'm going to start getting up at 5 a.m. again and get out of bed. So if somebody hasn't been working out for 25 years, it's going to take a little bit to get in, but I'm okay with it for the first month.
Hey, man. And I started you off, it's like crawl, walk, run.
Sure.
You know, we're not going to, here's the thing. You're going 3 days a week. For me to destroy you is pointless. Like, everybody's always like, oh, that was a good workout. I puked all over the place. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, but it's probably some trainer on an ego trip. And this isn't about, like, yeah, at some point, should you be pushing yourself that far? Yeah, you should. But should you be, like, setting yourself back? It's like digging a hole. You dig it. Like, this is the way I look at training is you've got a shovel. Now you dig a hole, and then your food fills it back in, right? So your diet fills in that hole. Now, if you sit there for 3 hours and dig a crater, that's a lot to fill that thing back up, and it's going to take you a lot of days to fill that thing back up. You know what I mean? But it's like, let's come in and dig a sharp, quick, deep hole, because your body will naturally then start to overflow that. You know how when you dig a hole and you put the dirt back in the hole, it's always higher than, and think of it about like that, right? Okay. So it's like, we're going to dig a quick hole here, and we're going to put the dirt back in it in a way with food. I mean, it's not the best analogy, but it's all I have off the top of my head. But we want that to be nice, hard ground. So we're going to do a good job of putting the dirt back in that hole through diet and nutrition. We're going to dig a nice, sharp, quick hole that we can fill back up, and then we're going to come back in and do it again on 2 days later, right? That way we start to build that mound up instead of just digging this crater and then going and drinking a bunch of beer and wearing a medium sheet shirt to the bar because you just went and did arms like that. But that's what happens with a lot of guys is they train hard and then they go get messed up on beer because their arms look good that day and go to the bar. And well, you just set yourself back so far. So we need to get in, hammer it, get out and start recovering and then come back and do it again. That's the way it should be done. I'm
excited for the journey. Like it's going to be a little bit tough on me actually because but I'm all right with it. I'm learning to like being outside my comfort zone, and I'm hoping other people do as well. There will be others who doesn't want to get stronger, but so they can just walk through your door, talk to you. You'll make a plan. Design it to, do you want the whole kit and caboodle, or do you want to just get the keys to the place?
Right. And there might be some guy come in, like, this is a weird one that nobody ever talks about. There might be some kid coming in, 22 years old, 6'1". Maybe it was more even me at one point, 6'4", I think 185 when I started going to the gym. I was in great shape. I just got done playing sports at a really high level. I was in awesome shape, but I needed to be bigger and stronger. I needed that. Now, was there a lot of insecurity based on that? Absolutely. But I did need to be bigger and stronger. I was too small. I was too skinny. I was too weak. So everybody kind of bypasses that too. There is that part of the equation too, where there's going to be guys that, not just fat guys. There's not just the, hey, it's going to be guys that like, I need to put some muscle mass on. Those guys I work with just as much because, I've been there. I know that deal. right?
Tall, short, skinny,
Doesn't
fat,
matter, right?
injured, not injured.
And you got to be careful because a lot of these facilities you walk into are going to teach you some very dangerous ways to put on that muscle. It's not necessarily the best decision at the time. So, this is all encompassing. If you're going to do it right. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that because there's that guy as well.
Okay.
That's out there. He's like, I just need to be bigger and stronger. Well, we can put weight on you.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a problem.
Now, Tanner, we're kind of reaching the end of the hour.
We should be, yeah. We're being here forever.
I think so. We've got the people. They know it's not just you in town. And if somebody walks in, maybe I'll finish with this on my end. Is if they walk in, they say their goals are this, and Viking doesn't match. You'll say, listen, there's another place in town that matches that. Go here because that matches your goal. Is that fair
I've done that. Yeah, I've sent people to other places.
Yeah, this is about just making people.
Yeah.
Wage a war on weakness in terms of their physical
Absolutely.
strength.
Yeah, I mean, if I can't do what you want me to, I'm not gonna do it because that's not, like I said. Now all of a sudden, I'm taking you to Saskatoon when you want to go to Edmonton.
Yeah,
like I'm driving the car. That's not right.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're more like I said, muscles more is that CrossFit style thing, and then there's also integrity or whatever, which they're a straight up CrossFit. I know those guys. They're good dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a good. Those are two really good places that
Yeah.
the person can check out.
Eventually, we'll have them on as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure,
Because then they can, they're that, but it's just different than what we do, right? So absolutely, if I don't, you come in and be like, I want to be a professional bodybuilder and I want to do it with as many, terrible food and drugs as possible. I'd be like, well, then you're not going to want to go to any of these places.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to go to the big corporates. You'll get offered lots of that stuff in the change room. So go there. Like, I mean, it's, if that's what you want, then go be part of that. Right. Okay. So it's, yeah, man, I'm not here to try to, I'm here to, if we can work together, then let's do it. But if we can't, then yeah.
I'm going to take some pictures. I'm also I'm not a big journaler, but as I go on this year-long journey with you, I'm going to journal more so I can kind of look back and say, that's right. I was weak in that area. Or man, have I ever made some progress? Or just something to monitor myself as I move through this. Tanner, I think we're good here. Don't you think? I think we've covered it. The rest of it now is just take some action.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fair to say.
Well, that's all anything is. It's going to be ugly.
Okay.
Like it's not going to look good off the start. Mm-hmm. It's going to hurt, and you're going to do, you're going to do a terrible job of it. Right. That's what's going to happen. You're going to suck at this. But everybody sucks at everything when they first start. And it's just gonna be a pain in the ass.
Tell you what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this first. My wife and I, we just had a new baby about almost a month ago, just not quite a month. And I'd love to see my wife do this. Let's let her kind of heal from that process.
Yeah.
But man, I'd love to see my wife come through this too. So that's something we'll tackle on another day when my wife is ready.
And I think too, just to touch on that, is there is a lot of women in here.
Yeah, they're all men.
Yeah, it's not. It used to be pretty much all men, but there is more women in here now. There is more, there's more stuff. There's a lot of programs that we offer, like we offer classes and stuff like that. That kind of is a little more beneficial to what women are looking for a lot of times. Mm-hmm. This isn't just a pump house with a bunch of meatheads with beards and shit. Like this is we've got a lot of women that train here.
Funny, as you're talking, my brain is opening up to other. My daughter Tori, who who also trains in the MMA with us, she's trying to make it to a higher level of hockey as well, and strong girl, but her frame's just a little small. Mm-hmm. She's a smaller stature, but she plays a tough game, and I should really be getting her in here to learn how to do each of your exercises as well. I've got my own squat rack in that home, but I don't want to teach her how to do a squat improperly, which is what I would do.
I think
we can cost that one as well.
Well, we can probably do a little podcast on that. I'm going to do, I think, some videos through the gym on that, but I have gotten now into the sports performance game. I stayed out of it for a long time because I was like, that's a huge commitment. Mm-hmm. Like you got to commit yourself to these kids because they need you. Mm-hmm. Right. So I kind of stayed away from it because I was doing oil field stuff and businesses and stuff like that. Now I'm back here full time. I've gotten back into that sports performance. So hockey kids, stuff like that. And I noticed that most people are doing this, and I don't mean to throw the other trainers and stuff under the bus. They're just doing it wrong. They're doing it backwards. So I would love to maybe do a quick podcast for sports parents, especially, just to make sure you know what you're getting into and where your bang for your buck is as far as getting your kid into a training program. Because most people, I sat down with a bunch of the parents that I started my last group and kind of told them what I was about. And they're like, like it was just completely foreign to them, the concept. But once I explained it, they're like, well, that makes way more sense than what they're currently doing. Okay. So we could touch on that.
Sure. Maybe another
for
podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think, Tanner, what do you think is just to make sure we're hoping to keep these podcasts to a
for not too long.
For the time being?
Yeah.
So are we cool kind of signing off on episode
I mean,
2?
I think 2, and do you want to go into just like our kind of second part of this with the community-based kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like, so I know we mentioned it in the first podcast, was like we kind of did it a little bit here with Viking, right?
Yep.
So what we're trying to do at the end of these podcasts, or for the last, whatever few minutes, is, so like I said, there's strengthening the individual, and then there's strengthening the tribe, so to speak. And what we want to do with these podcasts is start to bring community entities like businesses and stuff that can support your war on weakness,
or members. Hey, not just businesses, but
anything that anybody has that supports the war on weakness, that we can get you in touch with these people, or they can come and be part of like episodes and stuff to tell you how they can help you get stronger. We're going to do that. So and us. And us. So, I mean, what we're going with is, like we just talked about Viking, right? Now I get it that I own the place and we're doing the podcast, you know what I mean? But that is one place right there where if you come and pay your dues, I do as much as I can to try to keep those dollars in Lloydminster or in our tribe, which is, I think we need to look at that when we start spending this money. You know what I mean? That we have, like you said, like if you go and give your money to a huge corporate gym, that leaves, right? So I think with this last piece of each podcast, it's nice to kind of touch on some things that can help make you better, first and foremost, and make me better, make all of us better, like the whole tribe strengthen, because they're all part of the tribe, and allow for them to potentially come in and tell us what they do, right? So, I mean, like I said, we just did that with Viking. And then I also own Northman Coffee. Again, local product, awesome. We got the Northman, the Frost Giant cold brew right here. Best iced coffee. I hate iced coffee. I drink those.
May I crack one?
You should.
Okay.
You're crazy not to shake it though. Shake well before serving.
So I got to read first.
Shake the hell out of it. Yeah. Grab it by the neck. Just give it one of these.
So while we're signing off here.
Yeah. So that's our cold brew that we just came out with. What we're drinking here is just that's a light roast. It's nice. And we can,
That is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't just say that. If it was bad,
I'd
tell you the truth.
I wouldn't give it to you if it was bad.
What's sugar content in it?
The sugar?
It tastes low.
It's not very high. There might be 8 or 9 grams in there total, maybe 7, 8 grams, something like that. There is a little bit.
I don't drink a lot of iced coffees because of the sugar content.
Yeah, it's mainly coffee, and there's no preservatives, anything like that. It's we built it. It's good. It's really refreshing. So that's coming out now full force. Yeah. Like I said, we still have the beans, all this stuff. Sure. So all locally done, everything. Like I said, still going back as much money we can put back in the community. All of our merchandise, everything is all local. Try to keep everything as local as possible. So that's one thing. Go check it out.
So if you're local that has the business or services or knowledge to make people stronger, to wage a war on weakness, reach out to us.
Absolutely.
Also, should we thank our producer?
Yes. Paul.
Fire away.
He's falling asleep over there. This podcast is actually produced and recorded and everything by Forges Media, which is Paul Forges. He's our, as what did Andrea, the girl that introduced me to him kind of through another guy, said, I think this is the Paul of your dreams. that's what she said. So what I was was trying to find a podcast producer when we started this. I'll tell you the story because it's kind of funny. I put it out there on Facebook. I was like, hey, I'm looking for some audio visual help. Does anybody know anybody? Well, boom. It just like, I don't really do social media too much. Like I put stuff on there for businesses, but I don't like personally ever put anything out there too much. But it's like, hey, I need help. Well, it was just like, it was blowing up, but half these guys are in like New Zealand and Australia and the UK. I was like, well, no, I don't think you can understand what I'm asking for. So it just kind of overwhelmed me. I was like, okay, we're going to have to just look at this differently. But then a guy, he texts me, goes, why do you need help with it? That's all he said. And I was like, well, that's kind of, vague and sounds like I'm getting sold something. Anyway, this girl that trains in the morning comes in and she's like, did you call Paul? And I was like, no, why? Like, what are you talking about? And she goes, oh, well, this Travis guy emailed you or messaged you and said, what are you looking for? I said, yeah, but it was so vague. I was like, I didn't want to get involved in some conversation where I was getting sold something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she goes, I think this, and I was like, so I don't know no Paul. And she goes, I think this is the Paul of your dreams. She said. So, I mean, we laughed about that pretty hard because, I mean, then we met up with Paul and, if you have any audio, visual, photography, anything like that, he's been nothing but awesome with us. And it's such a professional ran thing. So that's Forges Media. That's through, you can find that on Facebook. Do you have a website or anything? Yeah, forgesmedia.com.
Cool.
And that, I mean, like I said, it's been nothing but awesome for us so far. So,
well, the journey's begun. Looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Shall we sign off, Tanner? And
and
let the journey begin.
The other thing too is if there's any questions, like maybe you just have a question that you like, maybe it's about fitness. Like maybe I completely blew something and you didn't understand it. Send it through a social media. We're setting up the platforms. You can send us questions if there's something that we can help you with, and we'll cover it on a podcast. Maybe have like a question part to anything that we know anything about anyway. And like, let's have some interaction with that because I think that as this goes, it's going to be a pretty important message for people to latch onto, so to speak. So,
day one is done, Tanner.
Let's wrap
Easy
her up.
part. Now let's get to work.
All right, man.
Honest, Tanner.
Okay.
Take care.
Later.